Hey guys, it's Baron J67 coming to you again with another trigger warning with Killer Mike episode review. Now today we're talking about episode 5. Now, this episode I believe should have been titled Making the Band Killer Mike Edition, because first let me backtrack. So Killer Mike realizes that there is a large population of people that he doesn't even interact with or even market towards, which was the elderly. So he went to a senior citizen home to connect with the people and to show his music. Now he asked the director, "Hey, do you think these people are gonna like it?" And they're like, "Probably not, but let's." They're more into the 30s and 40s or music of their time, and they even some of them kind of like Elvis. And when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna go bad." I immediately thought it was gonna be a crap show. He was gonna get booed and all type of craziness. But before he actually performed, he sat and talked with older white woman and asked her, what does she think about certain things, whether it's talked about crime and whatnot. And she honestly thought that most black people were committing crimes. Now that's something that, and she even said she gets most of her information from the news. And when you go on the news, most crazy crime you see, it's always somebody minority. And then you hear a lot of stuff talking, whether it's border talks and all that other craziness that's going on. But if she, like she said, she gets her source from the news, so it's understandable how media paints people who look like me, and why she would think that most people who look like me are doing all the crimes. Now, I love what he said to her. He was like, "Well, it's impossible. It's only so many of us, so we can't commit all the crimes." But and then it was funny seeing him go back and forth talking about how he's more scared of a Caucasian man and a gun, and just going all that craziness. And I'm just sitting there, mouth open, like, "Holy crap!" He's having this talk with this woman. And but one thing I do like is that he's not afraid to push that button and take it there. So then when he goes to his performance, which I thought was epic, he had a quartet come in and sing and open up, and I'm thinking, where's Killer Mike? He's gonna come on after them, but he had them doing the background, doing the back vocals for one of his tracks, and he's sitting there talking about everybody's doing it. What was it? Thievery, swindling. Just basically talking about how people make money and will step on anybody and anything to get that money. Now, a couple of the people did leave the show, but overall, he had a pretty good reception, which is it went way better than I thought it would. First off, it sounded good. Then the people were seriously, the elderly were seriously into it. But seeing everybody's faces while he was performing was pretty funny. Like, they zoomed in on a guy in the back and he's just sitting there like, "What is this?" So what, I forgot how it transitioned, but he then led to creating this band called the Bubble Bursters. And he invited a bunch of people from different, whether it was different financial backgrounds, but it was mainly different ideals. So he had juggalos, he had who else did he have? A white nationalist, hardcore black Southern Christian, he had African American Moor, a Jewish Renaissance enthusiast. He had just crazy people. And then he brought in Mario. Mario's back from, I want to say, episode 3, which is the guy he got into the big argument with over Cripicola and how he was judgmental of him and he called him an asshole and all that other stuff. But now bringing him back into this band, which was something, and which was intense, because I didn't think, let me rephrase, it wasn't that it was intense, it made me happy to see that he was able to throw that aside and bring on somebody who had such a highlight, because that episode was crazy, seeing Mario go back and forth with Killer Mike. So if you're willing to do that on clearly his show, maybe he's a flash enough to bring more excitement further on. And then hearing that he creates music, so he brought him on to try out for the band. Now, I forgot who were the guys that didn't make it, but he kept the white nationalists, the Juggalo. He kept the the African American Moor. He kept the Jewish Renaissance lady, Mario, and the feminist, the black feminist, and the Bubble Bursters are making a track based on Mario's music, and I thought it was great. I was like, oh, okay, this song is dope. And then all of a sudden, the white nationalist gets on board, and he just wails out at the end of his verse, "You're never gonna something with this white N word," and everything stopped. And then the producer was sitting there. Everybody was just stuck, like, what the heck? But I like that Killer Mike stayed out of it, because he could have easily came in and been putting his thumb down on every track. And, he wanted them to truly create what was theirs and speak from their truth and what they know in their world. So knowing that and seeing that they were able to come to the conclusion that their freedom of speech was more important than their feelings about what was said, and that to keep that verse in the track was intense. That's something that I don't think it was emphasized on how big that was. Yes, it was absolutely crazy. Yes, it was racist as hell, but we already knew he was going to say something crazy. He was a white nationalist. Just like I would expect to hear the African American Moor dude to come out with something super extreme. No, it wasn't the Moor who stayed. It was the black nationalist. That's what it was. I'm sorry, I keep saying the Moor stayed. The Moor was the guy who left, if I'm not mistaken. Or he stayed on, and they worked on the verses. Oh God, I gotta watch it again. Dang it. But period. The song was so intense, and the most craziest part was Killer Mike having to let us know that they were going to perform, and they performed it live because people thought they were coming to a Killer Mike show, when it was actually the Bubble Burster show, and everything was going good. People were kind of vibing to it, because it's a weird track and it's a weird group of people. It looks like the Village People up there. And then I didn't know it was Mario until Killer Mike said, "Hey, that's Mario." And I forgot that Mario said that he's genderless. He's not in a box. So he came out dressed as a woman, I think. And it was just absolute craziness. And to see everybody's reaction to the white nationalists getting up there on the mic, on stage, in front of a big crowd, and saying white N-word. And everybody's jaw just dropped. People were kind of vibing to the song until that point, and everything just completely froze. And then seeing how they interviewed people as they were leaving, and I like how one couple, they were saying it above all it's freedom of speech. Now, and we need to, the point that we need to communicate outside of our bubbles and interact with people on a different level. And if we stay within our bubble, we're never going to change and never going to grow. We gotta interact, because interaction cures hate. It's hard to hate something in someone that you constantly interact with. Not just say hi to and keep walking, but I'm talking about you sit down and have a conversation with. It's hard to justify that hate. And it tends to lessen. So I rambled a lot. There was a lot going on in that episode. From the elderly home to the Bubble Bursters to performing on stage to seeing people's reaction to white N-word, and it was a lot that happened in this episode. But overall, getting out of your bubble was the main point of this, and that freedom of speech it doesn't protect you in the private sector, private community. It does not protect you, but you do have the right to say what you're going to say and speak on how you feel. And it was cool that they did get together, even though it was absolute bonkers to hear that man say it. It was super cool that they were able to collectively, this wide range of people across the spectrum of life, were able to get together and say, our right to freedom of speech is more important than how this word and phrase bothers us. So let's leave it be. So Killer Mike creating the Bubble Bursters, I almost want him to do a full show, a full series on making the band Killer Mike edition, because Puffy was crazy. I can only imagine what Killer Mike would come up with. So episode 5 was dope. Recommend once again, you guys gotta watch Trigger Warning. I'm doing it no justice because I ramble, as you guys know. And this one's kind of long. Oh, I need to shut up. Check out Nerds Noir, my brand Nerds Noir, and then please check out my podcast I do with my brother T Jones Adventures of the Black Nerds, and then please subscribe. I'm talking too much and rambling. Baron J 67. Peace.